This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? Is your boy. Happy New Year to you, ladies and gentlemen. Happy New Year. I'm glad that you are healthy and joining us. We're live. The Knicks play the Phoenix Suns tonight. But we're going to talk about that and a lot more. We got Steph. We got Andy. We're going to get this thing popping. Steph, Happy New Year. How are things going with you?
Things are going pretty good, Sim. Happy New Year's to you and Andy as well, and your family. I'm looking forward to this game.
Yeah. Game kind of took me by surprise. The other day when I was looking, I was like, oh, wait a minute. The game is at 3 o'clock. I kind of forget that today is celebrated as the new year, as far as the government is concerned and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of took me by surprise, but I'm ready to go. Andy, how you doing?
Salute, Sim. Salute, Steph. Happy New Year to you guys. As you hear, my voice is a little bit off. I'm under the weather. I hope I'm going to be at least sharp in my mind and in my, words. So,
yeah. Before we even get into talking about today's game, I wanted to talk about that Texas Triangle trip and what you guys seen from that trip. I do have just a few things, like 5 takeaways that I have from the trip. I wanted to know what you guys thought about. Then I'll get into my takeaways. Or actually, I'll go through my takeaways and then we can discuss each one. How about that? All right, and then we'll get into the game preview. Then we'll talk about some trade rumors. All right, so my first takeaway is injuries. Right, the Knicks and R.J. Barrett with a lacerated finger. Jalen Brunson has been out, and I think it's been tough on the Knicks. With those injuries, and we don't know. I mean, today, R.J. Barrett is still going to be out. Jalen Brunson is questionable for today's game. How long can the Knicks last without having 2 of their top guys in the lineup if these injuries continue to linger? Steph, what do you think? How long can they last?
Not long. As we see, even against teams that are quote unquote not that good, the Knicks have not been playing well. The longer they stay out, the more the losses pile up. But that being said, the more experience these guys get. And I remember Miami last year, they had a lot of injuries and guys really stepped up. And when they got all their troops back, they were that much better. So that's hopefully an upside of it. But to your original question, I don't think the Knicks are going to be able to hold up that long. I mean, Randle is playing out of his mind. The last 2 games quickly has helped. The game before that, I think it was McBride and Mitch. But I just don't think we have a lot on the bench. It's not like we have guys who are taking a back seat because of the top 3 players we have. And now, wow, this is their opportunity to step to the front. We just don't have those guys other than quickly.
Right. And I mean, the Knicks, coming into the season, one of the things we thought is that the Knicks had depth. And I mean, their depth is now being used in the starting lineup, right? And then certain guys just aren't playing at all. So that kind of negates all of your depth, right? And we'll look at that a little bit later on as we look at the benches of the Knicks and the Phoenix Suns, because Devin Booker, he's out for the Phoenix Suns. He's been out for a little while, and they're just getting a couple of guys back. Andy, your thoughts just about the Knicks injuries and how long they can last dealing with these injuries?
What I would add at the beginning, you forgot about the elephant in the room, Obi Toppin. He was supposed to
Obi.
be 2 or 3 weeks out.
Yep.
It's way past that time that he was supposed to be reevaluated. We
Way
didn't have
past.
any news, and now the news is that he might get traded.
Right. Right. And we're going to
You
talk
know, you,
about
you
that.
don't have to be a
Way
detective
past.
to connect the lines here, right? So I don't want to speculate though, because but yes, Sim, I agree with you guys. I don't think we can last that much long playing great basketball, and we easily see who's consistent enough, and that's basically just Randall.
Yeah.
The rest of the guys can stay consistent, can stay, play on the same level, because I would rather them play a little bit, worse, but at least at the same level, because then as a coach, you can plan something, right? Nowadays, you never know who's going to be the hot hand, who's going to be, the player you can rely on. And I think
Right.
it's not only hard for the coaching staff, but it's also hard for a leader like Julius Randle was in these last games.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
definitely. Because it's been up and down with who performs, who, is gonna lay an egg that night. You know, it really has been up and down. Although Emmanuel quickly the past couple of games has definitely stepped up and played good basketball. It seems adjusting to new roles. That's one of my next takeaways from the Texas Triangle trip is with all these injuries, Emmanuel quickly had to adjust. You seen Quentin Grimes in that first game in Dallas drop 33 points. Right now, he hasn't played at that level since, but he had to adjust in that game. Emmanuel quickly's been, he's been playing well in that starting point guard role. And, when we talk about some of the trade talks, one of the things is Emmanuel quickly believes that he can be a starting point guard, right? He looks down the road and he sees Tyrese Maxey in Philly. And, this is kind of an audition for Emmanuel quickly to say, hey, I can start at a point guard spot in the NBA. But guys have had to adjust. Even bench guys have had to adjust. Derrick Rose is now getting minutes again. Evan Fournier is now getting minutes again. I mean, how do you guys see these guys? How have they adjusted over those last 3 games in Texas? Andy, I'll start with you.
Well, I agree, Sim, with you that IQ play good basketball. I'm not a fan of him being the primary ball handler, though. I rather him, play off the ball, and I would be way more comfortable with him in that position.
Mm-hmm.
He, rallies up the assist numbers, but I don't feel good when I'm seeing quickly bringing up the ball and noting that he's going to dribble, or take a bad shot. Just the decision making itself, it makes me insecure. We saw Randall, I think, in the first game versus Dallas, when he was slapping his knee, like, pass me the ball, or just let's run the pick and roll. Just it was like 2 minutes even till the end of the game, and quickly was trying to dribble it out. And you could see, like you and Tony pointed out, that maybe there's some kind of a rift between D Rose and Randall.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that Randall would love these guys to be on his level. I mean, playing way better. And he's, trying to run this team by himself with the injuries to Brunson and RJ, but he's getting frustrated a little bit because he doesn't have that kind of a help. And scoring wise, of course, quickly is gonna make shots, take shots, and score those numbers. Are his shots perfect and stuff like that? Not a fan of those shots. The rest of the guys, though, I think Fournier was as surprised that he was on the court as we fans were, because he looked like he was trying to tie his shoes when they asked him to go in. I loved how he played the first game. The second game, he wasn't that much efficient, but at least he was ready to play and stuff like that. After almost 6 weeks, 6.5 weeks
Yeah.
of sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
So I think he was good. A little bit rusty, but I still take his minutes. And the rest of the guys, even for Deuce McBride, it's kind of an adjustment because he wasn't expecting to take that many shots. And one game, I think he was like 2 for 7 or 2 for 8, something like that. So it was, like around 20% of efficiency. That's a little bit too low for me as for a starting player. Doesn't matter the role, but 20% is not NBA percentage. So, and listen, the rest of the guys, iHeart and Sims, I don't have high expectations from those guys. Those guys are bench guys. Those roles didn't change for them, basically.
Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah. Steph, any thoughts on these guys adjusting to their new roles and how you think they've adjusted or what else they might need to do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they've adjusted that well, other than IQ, because I think they're over their heads. I mean, I don't think McBride is a starter, and even if he's not starting, somebody that commands 7 minutes a game, which is what he played this past week,
Right.
shooting 25% from the field and 19% from three. That's just not. He's just not ready, in my opinion. And we could talk about his defense all day. But when you look about his overall game, in my opinion, he's just not ready to log the minutes that he's logging.
Right.
So it's going to be a huge adjustment for him because he's just he just shouldn't be in that position. I think, Grimes is trying to adjust, but with a second year player, it's going to be ups and downs. 33 one night, I don't know, 9 the next, and 20 something. That's just what it's going to be for a second year player. Up and down. I think I don't know if Quickly's had to adjust. I think Quickly plays the same. No matter,
Right.
no matter what. And iHeart and Sims, like Andy said, they're backups. And when we talked about in the beginning having a lot of depth, it's becoming clear to me depth in limited minutes for these guys. Like we don't really have depth in like major minutes that somebody can step in when somebody gets hurt. We got depth
Right.
in terms of 10 minutes, 15 minutes depth. That's the type of depth we have.
Yeah. Emmanuel Quickly, over the last 2 games, he's had 27 versus Houston. He had 36 versus San Antonio. And he had 13 points and 15 assists versus Dallas. So, he's played well, but he hasn't shot well. He's shooting over those 3 games 35.6% from the field, 28.6% from the three-point line. He's averaging 24 shot attempts per game over that time. As a matter of fact, over those 3 games, he's averaging more shot attempts than Julius Randle. Randle's averaging 23 shot attempts per game over those 3 games. All right. But looking at the lineups, the Knicks need who else is going to shoot? They need Emmanuel Quickly to shoot. He's just not very efficient. Quentin Grimes, over those 3 games, he's averaging 20 points, shooting 42% from the field and 36.7% from 3. Quentin Grimes is a starter anyway. Emmanuel Quickly is being elevated into that starting role. But he's not efficient, and a lot of it is, shot selection, trying to draw fouls, those type of things with Emmanuel Quickly, And I agree with what you said about everybody else. Deuce, he's logging 37 minutes a game over the last 3 games. He's shooting 25% from the field, 19% from the three-point line. I don't see those things changing anytime soon with Deuce as far as his field goal percentages.
And he puts up 11 shots a game or something like that.
And he puts up like 11 shots per game over this time. Derrick Rose is, he's only getting 13 minutes, but even in his 13 minutes, he's not being as productive as you would like him to be. Evan Fournier, he's back in the rotation. He's been playing 18 minutes over the last few games. 2 games, 18 minutes per game, 9.5 points, 43% from the field, 33% from the three-point line. But like Andy said, it's been weeks since he's been in. And as long as these guys are out, he's going to have to play. We'll see if he starts to get warmed up a little bit to playing again,
Yeah.
That being said, bench activity for the Knicks is low. And when we compare the bench units between the Knicks and Phoenix, you're gonna see the Knicks bench is only averaging 12.4 minutes per game. So, like you said, Steph, there's maybe only one or two guys that can be productive in playing, over 20 to 25 minutes. Everybody else, you can only play them 12 to 15 minutes per game and expect productivity.
Right.
The bench activity is really, really low for the Knicks right now. I think they're, averaging about 20 points per game. A lot of it is because they're not logging the minutes. And now you got Quickly and Evan Fournier now is playing, but now you got Quickly and Deuce who are in the starting roles, and guys that are coming off the bench just aren't producing. You know what I mean? And sooner or later, the starting, the guys who, if we don't get these guys back soon, guys are going to start to wear down because they got to play so many minutes. You know what I mean? Guys are going to start to wear down. I don't know. I mean, what do they? Obviously, you can use Cam, and that's going to continue to be the argument that people say, well, use Cam, use Cam, use Cam. I don't think that's going to happen. You know what I mean? For whatever reasons, whatever those are, I don't think that's going to happen. Is there any way that the Knicks can get some bench help during this time? Do you see?
On this team, you mean as far as trades?
I don't know, on this team, trades or picking up somebody, a 10-day contract or?
Hopefully Fournier stays in the, in the lineup and he gets his feet under him. In the rotation, he gets his feet, under him. Hopefully Rose plays a little better. He hasn't been great. And as I said before, I'm not even expecting him to score and whatever. Just run the team, get us in our sets, show some leadership. Not that he's not showing leadership, but you know what I mean? Lead the team.
Right.
But other than that, I think we're going to have to go outside the team. I'm not big on speed. I know he can shoot, but defensively, where is he? Everybody's complaining about Fournier. He's not a great defender either, even though he does have a bit more size. Sims is over his head. I don't know if you can offensively. I don't know if you can give him any more minutes. So I'm not sure where we go.
Yeah.
Unless we go toward the, looking for, trades.
Trades or signing somebody. You see people in the chat say sign Melo. Melo or Michael Beasley. Melo or Michael Beasley, I see. I mean, yeah, you might have to end up bringing one of those guys, someone like that in, just to get some bench productivity, someone who can actually come in, score the ball, and play some valuable minutes. Andy, your thoughts?
Yeah, listen, my question is about Obi, because even Obi as a wing, that will solve plenty of problems, because you could move the Fourniers to literally the guard positions, right? Because Fournier is a 3 probably, played most minutes as a 3 for the Knicks this season. So if you could slide him to the shooting guard position, D Rose, Obi, Fournier, and then Sims, and that will solve. Question is, why are we not trying to use him? Is it only the injury, or is it that we are icing him out like Cam, looking for a trade? Because for me personally, I don't see a guy like Melo being signed and he's going to get straight up minutes in the rotation for Tibbs. Tibbs is one of those guys that he needs to see how the guy works. He needs to, build that trust with Tibbs. I don't think there's any free agent available that Tibbs is like, okay, sign me this guy, I'm going to play him. So, that's the thing. And then again, like Steph said, I don't think Svi is like the game changer for the Knicks, that he's going to save us from this slump. Because listen, 2 starters, that's 40% of your starting lineup.
Mm-hmm.
That's plenty. Not to mention that those guys were top 3 of the options that the Knicks had on the offensive end. So that's plenty of shots and plenty of possessions to fill out throughout the roster. And like we mentioned before, either the Randle, none of these guys are consistent. So, it's hard looking. Listen, like we saw the first game Fournier played, he was 4 out of 6, and he was playing more minutes and later in the game. The other game, he was, playing only because we were up. I felt like if he missed one more shot or the game was closer, he would get benched again for Deuce, and Deuce can't shoot. So, Tibbs is, juggling these guys, but I would easily look for Tibbs to slash a little bit minutes from Deuce, maybe even from Grimes if he's not making shots, and give him
Mm,
to Fournier and to D Rose,
mm,
because that's not only giving the minutes to those guys from the bench, it's like saving strength and power of the guys that are starting for you in Grimes and in Deuce, because I don't think they can run for 40 minutes like in the first game with Dallas, right? They were like over 40 minutes, I believe. So that's also hard for young guys like that.
yeah, 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 no doubt. Yeah, I don't know what the Knicks are gonna do, man. I don't know what they're gonna do. The one thing they did have to do is refine their defensive identity, right? Because I mean, I guess they played good defense against Dallas, but then in San Antonio, it just wasn't there at all. And then in Houston, the first half, I say, the first quarter and a half, it felt like it was going to be a repeat of San Antonio with the way, those guys in Houston were knocking down shots, knocking down threes, when it felt like the Knicks were a little bit slow defensively, and then they started to turn it on, and hopefully they refound that defensive identity, in that Houston game. I think they held Houston to what, 88 points or something like that.
Yeah, below 90.
Yeah, below 90. So hopefully they refound it, and they're going to be able to bring it bring it home against the Phoenix Suns. You know what I mean? It's been, the last 5 games leading up to the Houston game, the Knicks were last in defensive rating over those 5 games leading up to the Houston game, right? Over those 5 games, they were last. Houston wasn't much better, but, that's not what you expect from the Knicks, right? You expect them to be a top defensive team in the league. And over that 8-game win streak, they were clearly one of the best, probably the best defensive team in the league. So hopefully they refound that defensive identity. I think, Steph, we talked about it before the Houston game, with those guys having to adjust to one another.
Right.
Right. And, hopefully they're finding or refining that defensive chemistry. My last takeaway is, and if you want to jump in and talk about that as we talk about Randle, feel free, but it's Julius Randle. I mean, Julius Randle, he killed it on that Texas Triangle trip, man. And he's been doing it throughout the month of December. But that Texas Triangle trip, I mean, man, he averaged 35 points a game, 13.7 rebounds, 5.7 assists. He's shooting 48. He shot 48%, 48.6% from the field, 43.2% from 3, and 67.7% from the free throw line. But man, I mean, Julius Randle's been, for the most part, the entire season, Julius Randle's really been killing it. But with these guys out, he really stepped up and scored efficiently. And might I add, he's only averaging 2.3 turnovers over this time. Is he making a case to be an all-star? The Knicks are 19-18, 1 game above 500. We're in the middle of all-star voting. Do you think, with these kind of numbers, obviously he can. Now, these aren't his season numbers. For the season, though, he's averaging 24 points a game. What do you think, Steph? Is he making a case to be an all-star?
I think he is. I think a lot of it is going to have to do with where the Knicks are around, in the seating and the standings around the time the voting closes. But right now, I think he is making his case, because I'm not sure if he's going to be voted in by the fans.
Right.
So he'll probably be voted in by the coaches, and sometimes coaches do look at record, right? And so by the time it's time for them to vote, where are the Knicks? Are we 6? I think he gets in. Are we 11? Nah,
Right.
we
Right.
don't. So hopefully we get Brunson and RJ back. And the team is performing well. He'll have a chance, but I think Brunson will have just a good a chance. I mean, he's injured right now, out of sight, out of mind, but he's been playing well for us also.
Yeah. Yeah. Randle over these last 3 games has been 3rd in the league in scoring. And I mean, 35 points per game in his 3rd because Giannis over the last 3 games is averaging 44 and Luka is averaging 48.7 over the last 3 games that they played. So those are crazy numbers. Luka is shooting 61.7% from the field and 48% from 3. Giannis is shooting 50% from the field, 25% from 3. The thing is Randle, he's done it on shooting 23 shots per game. But Randle's been, all of those guys are getting to the line. Randle's been getting, 10 attempts per game over that time period, making 7 to 10. So he's playing really, really, really good basketball. But I agree with you, as it pertains to the Knicks record and whether or not he's going to have a chance to get in there. Andy, what are your thoughts on Randle and his play?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Steph. It depends only basically on the Knicks record because I don't see him getting voted in as from the fan standpoint. And the coaches always look at the record. If the Knicks are going to have a great record, they're going to look at the guards or the forwards and which position is going to be, thinner, and then choose probably between Randle and Brunson. For me, for today's, as far as if the season ended, the voting for the All-Star game ended today, I think Randle would go in. And it's not only because Jalen is injured the last 2 games or 3, but we see a month like this, like December that Julius had, and he's easily going to be mentioned in the conversation for a Player of the Month award. And also December was a great month. I think statistically it was like over 40-point games in the whole total NBA. So there was plenty of star performances, right?
Right.
But I still think that his consistency and numbers, like you said, on low shot attempts, that means high efficiency was terrific.
Yeah. Randle for the month of December, 28 points per game, 11.4 rebounds, 4.3 assists, only 2.2 turnovers, shooting 47.8% from the field and 36.8% from 3. RJ had a nice month of December too. 21.4 points per game, 46% from the field, 42% from 3, 5.8 rebounds per game. So those guys been really played well throughout the month of December, and the Knicks were 9-6 in December. We'll see if they can turn it around. The first game of the year, the Phoenix Suns, again, RJ Barrett out, Obi Toppin out. Jalen Brunson is questionable for the Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker is out. Cam Johnson is out. Cameron Payne is probable. And Landry Shamet is probable. So I'm expecting both of those guys to play. All right. And if that is the case, then I would expect that, assuming that Jalen Brunson doesn't play, the Knicks will start Emmanuel Quickly, Miles McBride, Quentin Grimes, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. And the Suns would start Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, Mikal Bridges, Torrey Craig, and DeAndre Ayton. Right. And I guess one of the guys here that we really need to look out for is Landry Shamet, because since Devin Booker is out, he's been scoring. He's been putting up. He's been out himself, right? But Devin Booker's been. I think he's been out for like 7 games or something like that with a groin injury. Landry Shamet's kind of been in and out, but during his time that he's in with Devin Booker out, he's averaging like 20 to 25 points per game. You know what I mean? So he's really somebody the Knicks got to watch out for, because if he gets hot from the 3-point line, you know what I mean? That's that's going to be done. Just looking at these lineups here, Andy, how are you looking at these matchups? You got Quickly, McBride, Grimes, Randle, Robinson for the Knicks, Paul, Shamet, Bridges, Craig, and Ayton for the Phoenix Suns. Obviously, it's a better lineup, better matchup for the Knicks without Devin Booker there. But how are you seeing these matchups?
Yeah, just looking at the Suns lineup, I literally I think I have each and every one of those guys at least on one of my fantasy leagues teams. I was checking Shaman because I remember I signed him in the during the season because he was out. So yeah, but Sim, like you said, Shamit is going to be a question mark because if he's hot, they're going to run maybe not run the offense, but they're going to give him and allow him to shoot. And that might be a dangerous thing for the Knicks because just looking at the lineup that we are probably going to be playing with Quickly and McBride, at least one of those guys will have to play versus Shamit, right? And if I was Tibbs, I might look at the situation to pair up McBride versus Chris Paul because he's not that athletic, and when he takes shots, his shot is not like he elevates high enough and stuff like that. Meanwhile, Quickly, thanks to gaining a little bit strength in the offseason, is a way better defender this year. So I would rather see Quickly on Shamet because Shamet can be really really hot and streaky. So I think I'd rather have a little bit longer defender on him. The rest of the lineups I think has to stay. Grimes has to play Bridges, Randall has to play Torrey Craig, and Mitch definitely is going to play DeAndre Ayton, right? So
Okay.
I think that's going to be the matchups for as far as the Knicks standpoint. As far as those the Suns, I'm not sure how they might think and how to match it up.
Yeah. Okay. So so you don't mind Quickly chasing Shaman around. You think he's good
Yeah,
for it?
I think Quickly actually chasing guys is quite good for him. He can stay in front of a guy that has a quick first step, but it's basically for all perimeter defenders. So I think for today's game, I would rather concentrate on McBride on CP because he's not that athletic, and like I said, when he takes his shots, he doesn't elevate really high. So that's a good point for McBride to try to not maybe even block, but at least contest.
Yeah. Steph, what do you think about the matchups? I think you're muted, Steph.
Sorry about that. I agree. I would do McBride and Paul. I would do Quickly and Shaman and Grimes and Bridges. Grimes is giving up height though, but that's been the case all season because they put him basically on the best wing player, whether it's a shooting guard or a small forward. So he's given up inches the entire season. Yeah, Randall and Craig, Robinson and Eaton. Yeah.
Which matchups out here? I mean, I wouldn't expect McBride to outplay Chris Paul. Which matchups do you think the Knicks could and should win? I mean, obviously Julius Randle, but Torrey Craig is a tough defender, and a lot of times he gives Julius Randle problems, right? Just because he's tough and physical. Which matchups here do you think the Knicks should win? Because I agree, McBride on Paul, Quickly on Shamet, Grimes on Mikal Bridges, Randle on Craig, and Robinson on DeAndre Ayton. And actually, when you go back the other way, it's probably going to be the same when you go back the other way, right? Who wins their matchup, or do you expect would win their matchups out there?
I think Randall wins his matchup. I get it that Craig is a tough defender, but the way Randall has been playing of late, just his recognition of when to take the three, when to a pick and roll switch, to call for a pick and roll switch, and then when he gets the switch, not bailing the shorter player out with a jump shot, basically taking him to the basket or posting him up. I expect Randall to win his matchup, and Quickly can win his matchup as well, scoring wise. But with Quickly, you can't look at the stats to say whether he won his matchup. You got to look at the overall game. I don't expect McBride to win his matchup, but he could be super important today, to Andy's point, if he makes it very hard for Chris Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Make it very, very hard for him. And he can do that. So that would help us out. And which Mitchell Robinson are we getting? Are we getting the Mitchell Robinson who played against Embiid? And I forgot who we played the game after. Mitchell Robinson was just giving us the intangibles and the counting stats. So which Mitchell Robinson are we going to get today? He could win that matchup. He could. I'm not putting money on it though, but
Right.
he could, depending on how he played.
Yeah,
Plays.
the last 5 games with Devin Booker out, DeAndre Ayton, 18 points a game, 9 rebounds, shooting 54% from the field and 66%. Well, shooting 66% from 3, but he's taking less than 1 3-pointer per game. Right, so I'm not expecting he's going to light it up from 3, but he's been playing pretty good basketball. Landry Shamet, he's only played in 2 games in the last 5, but he's the leading scorer. 23 points a game, 44% from the field, 37% from the 3-point line. Right, and then Chris Paul, 16 points a game, 8.6 assists per game. But they're only 1-4 in the last 4 games, in the last 5 games. Right, so they've been struggling without Devin Booker, as you would expect. They would. They've been struggling without Devin Booker out there. I think, obviously, quickly Grimes is going to have to step up and score. You know what I mean? One of those 2 guys are going to have to step up and score. And I actually think Evan Fournier off the bench is going to need to score off the bench. I think the Knicks are going to need him to put up some numbers, 12 to 15 points, I think, to be successful against the Suns. Now, the Suns aren't really playing good basketball. Just like the Knicks in the last 5 games, they're both 1-4. But I think the Suns bench has been producing more in the last 5 games. Right? When you look at the last 5 games, their bench is averaging 45.5 points per game in the last 5 games. 18 rebounds, 10.6 assists. They shoot 43% from the field and 42% from the 3-point line. But they're averaging 20.9 minutes per game, their bench. Right? And then the Knicks is only 20 points per game, 11 rebounds, 47% from the field, and 24.4% from 3. But they're only averaging 12.4 minutes per game. So somebody's got to step up, and be able to get some significant minutes. And looking at who's on the bench right now, Evan Fournier, I think, can be the guy that steps up and gives you some significant minutes. Andy, can he do it? Will he do it tonight? Can he and will he do it today? Early game.
My fingers are going to be crossed for that to happen. But like you said, I don't think we have a more of an offensive threat off the bench currently. I don't know if you can expect a high point game from D-Rose. iHeart nor Sims can create for themselves to score that much, right? So you literally have Fournier to fill in that role. I'm not expecting Tibbs to spread the rotation to 10 and add a Svi or add Cam, like you mentioned before. So it has to be Fournier. Maybe we're going to see a little bit meshing, bench guys with the starters, and we're never going to see like 4 bench guys and 1 starter. It's going to be more like 2 starters or 3 starters and a guy off the bench. So that might, steady the ship a little bit as far as the offense goes and the shots taken. But like you said, I think Fournier is the man that the Knicks fans have to count on today.
Yeah. Dwayne Washington Jr. off the bench for the Phoenix Suns, the last 5 games, been averaging 15.3 points. Damian Lee, he's been averaging 10.8 points per game. Torrey Craig, Torrey Craig is a starter. Landale, he's been averaging 7.8 points. You have Wainwright. Wainwright, he's not averaging much. Dario Saric, he's not averaging much. But Dwayne Washington Jr. and Damian Lee, both of those guys can get you 10 to 15 points coming off the bench, and then they got other people contributing. The Knicks, and this is where it hurts when you don't have guys that can come in and give you 20 to 25 strong minutes, because your starters, they start to wear down. They start to get tired. Now in the fourth quarter, the Phoenix Suns may have some fresh starters, while the Knicks starters, might be a little bit more gassed. Hopefully Evan Fournier can come in and produce and get 20 minutes or so. That would be, I think, big for the Knicks tonight, because eventually these guys are going to wear down. Unless by 3 o'clock, Jalen Brunson is able to play. He's questionable, right? Then if Jalen Brunson is able to play, do you think Evan Fournier continues to play, Steph? Which one goes to the bench, Evan Fournier or Derrick Rose?
Ooh. It'll probably. Ooh, that's a good question. It'll probably be Fournier, but I hope not. I hope it's Derrick Rose. I want to see Fournier play. We're offensively challenged. Rose has not been playing that well, in my opinion. So yeah, it'll probably be Fournier, but I hope it's Rose.
Yeah. I agree. I think Fournier should continue to play, because Derrick Rose just hasn't given us much. He hasn't given us much. Andy, what do you think? Who will it be if Jalen Brunson does play?
Listen, everything that would make sense would say that D-Rose is going to be benched, because we're going to have the point guards on the floor, right? Which is Jalen Brunson, quickly can handle the point guard, and Deuce can also handle the ball. Meanwhile, we won't have that scoring of the bench. So only because Fournier is more of an offensive scoring threat than D-Rose currently, I think that would be wiser to use Fournier in the rotation.
Yeah, it would make sense, because McBride would go back to the bench, so you got a point guard, and then you'd have Fournier, Sims, and Ihart. Emmanuel quickly would continue to start next to Jalen Brunson, and between Jalen Brunson and Quentin Grimes. So I think that would make sense. We'll see what happens if Jalen Brunson is able to go, and what Tom Thibodeau decides to do. That'll be interesting to watch and see as we approach. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, the game is at 3 p.m. Just 2.5 hours from now, the Knicks play the Phoenix Suns. Now, looking at the team comparison over the last 5 games, the Knicks are not 1-5. They are 1-5 over the last 6 games, but they're 1-4 over the last 5 games. You should say 1-4. They're averaging 114 points per game, 46 rebounds, 24 assists, shooting 44% from the field and 35% from 3. The bigger numbers is their defensive rating is 118.5 over this period of time, 23rd in the NBA. Their offensive rating is 117.9. That's 13th in the NBA. And for the Phoenix Suns, their defensive rating is 120.4. That's 28th in the league over their last 5 games. And their offensive rating is 111.9. That's 22nd in the league, averaging 111.2 points per game, 40 rebounds, 26 assists, 17.8 turnovers a game. Right? That's an area right there the Knicks need to capitalize. 47% from the field and 43% from the three-point line. Needless to say, the Suns are struggling without Devin Booker. And their defensive and offensive rating, the Knicks have some areas they can capitalize on. Without Devin Booker, you would think the Knicks have the best player on the floor in Julius Randle, at least the way he's playing right now. And he's going to be really, really hard to stop. The Knicks can take advantage of turnovers. I think the Knicks, even though their defensive rating is, over the last 5 games has been low, for the season. They're top 10 defense, top 11 defense. I think they should be a better defensive team than the Phoenix Suns right now. I think the Knicks should be able to win this basketball game. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a dogfight, because the Knicks have injuries as well. But I think they should be able to win this game even without R.J. Barrett or Jalen Brunson. I think they can get this win. Let me not say they should. I think they can get this win, and they're capable of beating the Phoenix Suns. Steph, what do you think?
They can, but somebody else would have to show up. Like when I look at who's starting for them, it's like, wow, they can get something from Paul. They can get something from Bridges. They can get something from, Ayton, Shamet, right off the bat. You can just look at that. Just their starting five and point to play is where they can get something from. When I look at our team, okay, we can get something from Randle. Hopefully, Quick has been up and down, but playing well of late. Hopefully we can get something from Quick. After that, I'm like,
yeah,
where's Grimes going to be?
Right.
We're not getting anything from Mc. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm not putting my money on getting anything from McBride.
Right.
Will Fournier have a good game? So I just feel like we don't have any surefire players that we can go to. Now, that being said, if Grimes and Quickly show up, Robinson has the game, a game similar to the one he has in Philly. Randle continues to play. Absolutely, we win this game.
Yeah, and looking at our lineup right now, without Brunson, without RJ, if Randle doesn't play well, that's that's going to be tough. If Randle doesn't play well,
and it happens. People have bad games.
Exactly.
It happens.
Exactly. And what Randle, I think, what Randle will have to do if he's having a bad game, I think he's just got to keep going, because he's still going to be the biggest attraction out there on the floor for the Knicks. You know what I mean? And then he'll be able to, hopefully spread the ball around so that others can shoot and hopefully be efficient. But I think he would have to keep going. What else would they be able to do? Where else are they going to go for someone to be able to draw the defense, create a shot? If I'm Randle, he's been doing a good job getting to the line. I continue to try to get to the line even if I'm not having a good game. So I continue to attack. As a matter of fact, if I'm not shooting the ball well, especially from three, I'd be going to the basket every chance that I get, try to get to the line. But I agree, who's going to show up for the Knicks? That's the biggest issue. Andy, what's your thoughts?
Yes, and I also value Randle's, going to the free throw line. For one, he's getting easy buckets. For two, he's getting time to rest. And I know that playing 48 minutes and, just running up and down the court is way harder than having a break for a free throw every now and then. And the more often, the easier for him to, maintain that strength and conditioning that he currently has. And like Steph said, unless we get steady production from the guys in our starting lineup, which means like Deuce is going to score, I'm not expecting much, but let's be 8-10 points. Grimes, 15, 16 points. Mitch, probably like, another 14, 15, and like 15 rebounds. Unless, that happens and Fournier scores like another 15, it's going to be really hard for the Knicks to keep it up with the Suns, right? I think they got a more distributed offense currently. And, lacking a player like Booker hurts them. But as we see, Shamet replaces his, like, let's say 60% of his production. Because, Booker is averaging probably around 30.
Yeah,
so if Shamet,
somewhere around there.
Yeah. So if he has like 20, that's still not a huge drop off, right? I don't think we can maintain the points that we're losing because of the lack of Brunson and RJ on the court from the rest of the guys. So listen, if Fournier has more than 25 points, I think, we can pencil in a W. But, that 25 points from Fournier is a dream of mine, even for me, right? So,
yeah, I mean, somebody besides Julius Randle is going to have to step up and score buckets. I mean, I'm expecting Emmanuel Quickly to probably get 20 because he's going to shoot.
Yeah, on 8 shots.
You said on 8 shots? Quickly, 20 on 8 shots? Right. I'm not sure about that one. He's going to shoot, though. So he's going to get his 20. Grimes, over the last 3 games, he's averaging 20. but a lot of it is skewed because of that 33-point game that he had. We'll see if he, we'll see if he can step in and score tonight. I don't know. I don't want to say I think he can or I think he will or not. I don't know what he's going to do. Let's hope that he does step in and score. But I think the Knicks can, they're going to have to play defense and scrap it out, I think. They're going to have to play rough, play physical, play defense, and I think that's the way that they give themselves a chance to win this game. Yeah. Before I get to talking any trade rumors, I want to give a shout out to my man Jay Boogie, who's in the building, in the chat. Shout out to you. Thank you for the super chat. He said blessings, health, happiness, and happy 2023 to the chat and the panel. Let's not only get our first win of the year, but the first win in the league this year. Believe, have faith in your goals this year. Definitely, Jay Boogie, we appreciate you, my brother. And Ayub Matan said, Sim, would you sell high on Randle or would you keep him? And that leads us right into our trade talk. So I guess we'll start with that there. Andy, would you sell high on Randle or would you keep him?
I'm keeping Randle. It would be bizarre for me to look for a trade for Randle after a month he had, right? That would be, unless we're getting a guy like Luka, Jokic, or one of those guys.
Exactly.
I'm not looking to trade Randle.
Yeah, that's where I am. You know what I'm saying? I'm not looking to trade him unless we're getting a superstar. You know what I mean? A superstar. Steph, what about you? Where are you with it? You're muted, Steph.
I agree with both you and Andy. Unless we're trading him for someone better than him, for a star, I'm not trading Julius Randle. I think, people are like, oh, he's going to revert to what he was before. But even before these December games, if you look at his game, it has improved. His shot selection has improved. His shot, well, that's the same. Where he takes his shot is on the court has changed. Not holding the ball. I mean, everything about his game has changed even before this starting playing well. So I don't expect obviously some regression. I don't think he's going to continue to play like this for the rest of the season, these December numbers. But in terms of what I've seen the entire season so far, I'm all in on Randle. And people are still holding on to these same storylines. He don't share the ball. He's ISO in. And I'm like, what games are you watching?
Right.
So I don't get it. No, I'm not trading Randle unless it's for a superstar.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. It's just a lot of people that still, I mean, people don't believe that the Knicks can win a championship with Julius Randle, right? And I'm not disagreeing with those people. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say that they can't win with him as the leading scorer, right?
Right.
And I agree. I think he's probably, I mean, when you look at him right now, he's probably, best fitted as a second tier guy, second fiddle guy, with the way that he's playing right now. And you like to have someone who is a better, easier, more fluent scorer than Julius Randle and leader that can handle the pressure, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. But this is who the Knicks have right now. And for people, when people continue to say, well, you're not going to win a championship with him as your main guy, you might as well, step all the way back down and try to win the draft lottery. I mean, to me, that's just crazy talk because I don't think the Knicks expect that they're looking at Julius Randle to lead them to the championship by himself. You know what I mean? I think that the front office knows that they need to add more pieces, but do you take a step backwards and then now you got to try to rebuild it back up again? Or do you say, okay, he's a good piece that we can have that can be a second, or maybe if you get two good guys, a third guy, whatever it is. But now let's go out and try to find the other piece. Where do we get the other piece from? And how do we get that other piece here? I don't know. I think it's a building process, and he's part of the building process. And if the Knicks make the playoffs this year, and of course we got to wait to the end of the season to see, but if they make the playoffs this year, it'll be 2 of the 4 seasons that he's been with the Knicks that the Knicks have been in the playoffs. You know what I mean? That's hard to argue with when they hadn't made the playoffs and how many years since before him. You know what I mean? So, I'm in on keeping Julius Randle around, for a little while. His contract just started this season. He's 28 years old, so he's at the beginning of his prime. And let's see where he goes and how much better he can get, physically, speed, strength. I'm not expecting him to get better in that manner, but upstairs, you know what I mean? And then let's see if the Knicks can add more pieces to the team. Players that are better than Julius Randle, a player or two that's better than Julius Randle. Let's see if they can do that.
Right.
Now, if you get to a point where you're like, okay, he's been here for a while, yeah, he's producing, but we're not going to be able to add anything, then maybe you do say he's 30, 31 years old, let's move him on, and we'll start over. But I don't think we're at that point yet, in my
Oh,
opinion.
but Sim, that's in what, 5 years, 4 years?
Yeah, something like that.
That's after his contract. So
Right. Yeah, that's after his contract. So let's see where it can go. Maybe the Knicks are able to add somebody. Obviously,
Right.
there's going to be players that need to go in order to get better. You know what I mean? And maybe he turns into one of those guys at some point. Who knows? You
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah. And people are saying, we're not winning with him, but we're not winning with. If that's the tack you're taking, we're not winning with R.J. Barrett and Brunson either. They're on the team.
Exactly.
Why is it just we not winning with Randall?
Right.
R.J. Barrett is on this team. Brunson is on this team. How can you just put it on one guy and say we're 500?
Right.
yeah, and listen, guys, there's only a couple of names that you would pull a 1-for-1 trade for Julius Randle. What it's going to be, Luka. As far as if we would get a deal that we couldn't refuse, right? It would be what, Luka, Giannis, Tatum, Zion. It's like probably like 10 or 15 players max, right? And I don't think those players coming in here, that trade wouldn't happen even 1-for-1. We'd have to give up like tons of draft picks, whatever, right? And I still don't see that superstar coming in here with the leftovers after the trade and getting us up to the conference finals and whatever. So only player that I would actually, think about trading Julius that will also probably not lead us to the Eastern Conference Finals would be actually Jaylen Brown. I would consider that trade 1-for-1,
Mhm.
but I know that Jaylen Brown instead of Julius is not getting us to the Eastern Conference Finals. But I might consider that deal. I like Jaylen Brown's, leadership, alpha mentality, and I really think that he would be probably a better piece on this Knicks roster than Julius Randle.
Mhm.
But just to add this, I still rather think that I would rather trade RJ before Julius at this point.
Mm.
If you would think that you need to move someone to get us better, I would rather trade RJ than Julius at this
Right.
point.
Okay. All right. The Indiana Pacers are, going from Julius Randle to Obi Toppin, the other power forward on the team. The Indiana Pacers and the Knicks have discussed a trade centered around Obi Toppin. And of course, this is not new news. This is old news. Andy, your thoughts on the Pacers and the Knicks discussing a trade centered around Obi Toppin? Who do the Knicks bring back? Do they even bring back players, or does that look more like draft picks?
Well, the rumor said that the Pacers have first round draft picks available, right? I think trading Obi for a draft pick at the current Knicks situation is kind of useless because we have so many draft picks coming up. So it's like we don't want to extend Obi, or we're not going to extend him anyway. So let's get that draft pick because it's going to be easier to move. But then again, I think players that I would want from the Pacers would be probably Ben Matherin, and we are not getting him for Obi Toppin.
Right.
I think the Pacers offer would be maybe a pick, or you can take Buddy Hield in a package, or Miles Turner, or both of those guys in a package. I don't think there's many of guys that the Pacers are willing to move just for Obi Toppin because he's not a game changer
Right. Right.
for
Now,
them. It's not like he's the missing piece for the Pacers to get to the conference finals.
right.
So they're just looking for a wing that's going to be fast, leaking out because that's a pro with playing with Halliburton because he has those long passes available,
Mhm.
starting the fast break really fast and stuff like that. So that's where Obi Toppin fits. But I don't think they need to move a player that's even Chris Duarte. I don't think they would move Chris Duarte for Obi Toppin 1-for-1.
I don't think so either.
So
Now,
listen, it's just Miles Turner, and then we would have to add what Hardstain probably in that deal, and or if you would want Buddy Hield, you would have to add Fournier because the money needs to match,
right.
and that's basically the deals that I see that the Pacers can propose to the Knicks.
Right. Right. And I don't know what the Pacers cap situation looks like. But is there any possibility the Knicks really don't look to bring players back? I guess they would have to bring someone back. But do you think the Pacers would, if the Pacers really want Obi Toppin, because maybe they feel like he fits and, he adds to their speed and athleticism. And like you said, they got a point guard that can find them. Would they trade a guy who's expiring to bring back Evan Fournier, which clears the books for the Knicks?
Yeah, that's why I say probably Buddy Hield. And
Yeah.
listen, they're using Buddy Hield in their lineup, in the starting lineup.
Right.
So that I'm not a fan, Sim. I'm not a fan. If you build a team and it's almost half of the season, just to mix the starting lineup because you're trying to get a better bench player. So they're gonna lose Hield just to bring in Obi Toppin that's probably gonna play off the bench.
Yeah.
It's like I think it's too much, stirring the pot for it to be worth it.
Right.
At least in my, philosophy of building a team.
Right. But do you believe the Knicks are looking to trade Obi Toppin? Because you mentioned it earlier.
Yes, and listen, I think for the Knicks, and I was talking with Josh like weeks ago about this. The Knicks, if they intend to keep all the free agents, the restricted free agents, or the guys that are going to be off the deal, of their deals this offseason, we won't be able to make any kind of acquisitions from the free agent market, right? So we will have to do a trade, or there is going to be on the draft day or in the off season, unless we free salary cap before the trade deadline.
Right.
And freeing salary cap means we trade Fournier for any kind of an expiring deal, which we don't extend after the season. We don't extend Cam, and we don't pick up the option on D Rose. And then we would have around 35 million even a season, to work in the free agents market. Unless that happens, we are capped out, and we can't sign a free agent unless it's for the mid-level exception. So it's like no moves, or you scrape off the second half of the season, trade these guys off for just minute fillers, and then forget about them after the season.
What's your thoughts, Steph? The Pacers and the Knicks discussing a trade around Obi Toppin. You think there's actually legs to it? What would you want the Knicks to bring back in that situation?
Right. I think there is legs to it. And I would want the Knicks to bring back a backup power forward who's defensive minded, that could play behind Randle, or small forward that could play behind RJ. One of those two. I don't know who they have as far as a small forward is concerned. I don't know how tall Duarte is. Can he play Small
He's
forward.
more of a shooting guard, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, I think he's more of a shooting guard.
Right. Well, we playing Grimes at the 3, so if he's 6'6", he could be pressed into duty at that
Yeah,
position.
Steph,
Right.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm still intrigued about Jay Crowder. I know that he has history with Tibbs.
He plays with them? He doesn't play. He's not.
He doesn't play, but they just have a conflict
He's with
on the
Phoenix.
team.
Oh, no, no, no,
He's
but
with
I'm
Yeah, he's
saying
Phoenix
with
though.
Phoenix. No,
Yeah.
he's with
he's with
Phoenix.
Phoenix. Oh,
But
no
you
problem.
said that backup 3-4 guy, defensive minded, and he's probably you just got to make the money work
I would
because
definitely
they
do
would.
that.
Yeah. So
But
and I understand that Jay Crowder has beef with Tibbs because they were almost fighting like a couple of years ago, and Tibbs was wanting to meet him in the lines going to the dressing rooms and stuff like that.
Right.
But that was hilarious for me. But listen, he might be the guy that the Knicks are missing: an enforcer, defender,
Mm-hmm.
and listen, he fits so many things that the Knicks lack currently that it's for me it's like a match made in heaven if they can work it out.
right, I hear you, Andy. But the question was the Indiana Pacers and what?
Yeah, I know, but we can trade Obi out, and then we can bring like send Cam to the Suns, right? And
Right.
then bring get a pick for Obi, and then trade that pick to the Suns or whatever, and just get Crowder back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of power forwards on that team too. So a young power forward that can play behind Randall and defend and rebound, I would be happy. You don't need much behind them. You
Right.
know, you could defend the position, you can rebound. I would be happy. Um, I would be happy with that. I think they got Isaiah Jackson over there. I think he's still a little raw.
and they
Um,
got Jalen Smith, I think, right? The
Jalen
guy
yeah.
with
Smith. I think.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. They
if
got
we can
Jalen
get
Smith.
Jalen, he's struggling though. He's struggling a little bit. But if we can get him for Obi Toppin,
And Steph, I think they actually signed him off the free agent market because I think he was a Sun before, and then the Suns didn't extend him. So no, maybe
yeah.
no.
If we get Jalen Smith, I think I would be super happy. With that, I don't think Obi's going to get a lot of minutes behind Randall. I don't think he can play the 3. And I don't think, other than his 3-point shooter, he's not the defender and rebounder that, in my opinion, we need at that position.
Right. Right. Yeah. We'll see how that works out with Obi, and maybe it's not a coincidence that he hasn't. He was supposed to be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks after his injury. We haven't heard anything about him being reevaluated. It's just been
Right.
mum. You know what I mean? So maybe it's more than just the injury. The reason why he's not playing right now. And this was actually earlier in December that the Knicks and Lakers touched base on a 3-team trade. All right. Obviously, the Lakers it's been known that they like Cam Reddish. I don't know what a 3-team trade would have looked like or who would have been involved in that 3-team trade. But, that's a situation in a scenario where you could bring back a Jay Crowder. Right. If you're working out something between the Lakers and the Suns and the Knicks, where Cam Reddish is on his way to the Lakers, Jay Crowder is on his way to the Knicks, and then other pieces would be mixed in and things like that. I don't know exactly what the Lakers have and who we might be interested in. Or we don't know who that third team would have been. What is apparent is that Leon Rose has been active in speaking with teams. We heard about OG Anunoby and that the Knicks had inquired about OG Anunoby. So the Knicks have been very active in trying to upgrade the roster or trying to make moves that even not only do they upgrade the roster, or maybe they don't upgrade the roster right now, but maybe prepare you to upgrade the roster, and making moves at the end of the bench and things like that. But the Knicks have been active. So I'm expecting something's going to happen with the Knicks before the trade deadline, in my opinion, which is just next month.
Wow.
And the Knicks have normally done things early, well before the trade deadline. So
Or their
Mhm.
deal, falls apart
Or the
because
deal
we don't.
falls or falls apart, right? you know. So I don't know, you know what I mean? And sometimes the Knicks, they may make some smaller trades that hopefully set them up for something bigger. Of course, they got to pull the trigger. You know what I mean? And I don't know, how much do you think when the Knicks went on a winning streak, trade talk stopped because they were on a winning streak? And maybe
Uh,
players that could have been part of the rotation were like, oh, wait a minute, hold on, let's see where this goes. Go ahead, Steph.
Nah, I think that's when it should have heated up, because you have a sense that this team could probably be something. So sometimes you do have to take a step back in chemistry to improve the team overall. And I think back 2 years ago, we didn't want to break up the team. Oh, the chemistry, the chemistry, the chemistry. And we were able to get into the first round, but we saw that we needed more.
Need more, yeah.
So, yeah. So I'm okay with taking a step back chemistry wise if we get, a talent that is better than what we have.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, and Sim, if I can add on this,
Mhm.
listen, when we were on the 8 game winning streak, neither D Rose nor Cam, no Obi, no Fournier were on the court,
Yeah.
Right.
and
That's
they are
Yeah.
true.
all movable pieces for you.
Right.
That's a good
Right.
Those are
point.
the guys that you want to move. So
Right.
bringing anyone that can bring even 5 minutes to your rotation is way better than the guys you have on the bench that you don't want to play. So I think that would be a win situation for the Knicks actually.
Yeah. Yeah. The Knicks are definitely going to be active. And I think we probably hear something before January is out.
Yeah,
Wow.
because I think the trade
You
deadline
know,
is what, February 8th, I think,
yeah,
this year.
somewhere.
February 8th.
Is it?
So
Is it?
so yeah, I think it's 8th because they want to make all the deals before the All-Star
For
break.
the All
So
Star
it's not
break.
like, those guys pamper around each other on the All-Star,
Yeah.
break and stuff
Thursday,
like that. So
February 9th.
9th. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Thursday, February 9th. That's the trade deadline. So we're just about a little over a month away from that trade deadline. Yeah. So I would definitely expect talks to heat up even more. Yeah. Go ahead, Andy.
Yes, and because I feel like we're going to wrap it up, right?
Yep. Yep.
I got just one question for you guys. I don't know if you guys heard the report that MSG uses 6-tier coding system for online critics, VIPs, etc., and stuff like that. I wanted to know what you guys feel about it.
Oh, they use what
They
again?
use what?
They use like they called it a 6-tier coding system for online critics, VIPs, etc. Meaning, for example, a guy like Josh, when he's on NBK and he tries to go to MSG facilities, he can get stopped and not let in. I'm gonna post you guys the
For
Why?
thing
real?
because
Because of what
me
he
and
says
Josh,
on his private
yeah,
channel.
because he critiques Dolan, and it was said that basically because the most thing is not like they critique Randall, whatever. That when you sell, for example, the story was about I think it was a lady that tried to go to the Rockets dancing thing, and she was stopped because a couple of days or weeks ago they saw her mentioning something like she wants to, she wants Dolan to sell the team, and she was banned from any kind of MSG and Dolan owned, events and stuff like that. So I was
Wow.
actually shocked. I think this is a little
Wow.
bit too far.
Yeah, it's
But
way
James, I
too
like you.
far.
I like you, bro. I don't want to get banned when I come to New York.
that's that's
But
that
listen,
that's
that's
way
why
too far.
Sim, that's why NBK fam, has to cherish every minute that Josh is online because we don't know how much he's gonna be on with us.
What's it called? The online what?
The MSG uses 6-tier coding system for online critics and VIPs. It was mentioned on the New York Post. James Dolan facial recognition tech also targets Knicks fans.
Wow.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it says a new report alleges how James Dolan facial recognition tech targets fans and celebrities who criticize Knicks and Rangers owner.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah, that's too far. Come on.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's too far. You know what I
Josh, I
mean?
did it for you, bro.
That's crazy. That's way too far. And if that's true, which, I have no reason to believe it's not, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, come on. Fans are gonna be fans. Come on. That's just crazy. That's just crazy. I'm gonna do some more research into it and read about it, because I haven't had a chance to read the article. I'm gonna go check it out and read about it. But ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna head up out of here. It's now almost 1:00. The Knicks play at 3:00 today. I actually won't be able to do the post game until later on, because I got basketball practice at 4:30, so I won't do the post game until probably 8 or 8:30, something like that. Probably 8:30 or so is when I'll do the
Should
post
we
game.
move Queens Court up then?
Oh, that's right. Today is Monday. Unless you just want to do the post game with the Queens Court, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I can.
Yeah, if you want to do, post game with the Queens Court, and then afterwards later on, I just do like my 5 takeaways or something like that.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, that'll work. Okay, yeah, that'll work there. That's good. So there we go. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Queens Court tonight. What, 8:30?
8:30 is good. You'll set it up.
Yeah, I set it up. Yeah,
All right.
8:30 tonight for the Queens Court. That'll be the post game show. And then we'll do some 5 takeaways after that. And then I guess tomorrow, try to get back on doing the shoot around in the morning. So, we'll try to do the shoot around tomorrow morning.
Very nice.
Yeah, try to get back into the groove, But anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
I'll be doing the morning recap tomorrow morning on Dope Soul Sports Talk. So those who want to hang out with me around 9:15, that'll be great. And like we just said, Queens Court tonight, 8:30.
There you go. Andy?
I will be crossing my fingers for Fournier to have a great game and the Knicks W.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's see if we can get this win today. 3 p.m. Knicks versus Phoenix Suns. We're out, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.